These podcasters think that Herman Mashaba will be a better mayor for Joberg than Helen Zille. Here's my reaction. Okay, so after doing my previous reaction video, which was to Helen Zille's interview with 947, I got quite a few requests for me to do another one. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. But before we get into it, please can I remind everyone to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's free. And all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button in the bottom left corner of the screen. Without further ado, let's begin. So the podcast we're going to be reacting to today is called The Shady Podcast. For those of you who might be curious, it's on the Real Network's YouTube channel. And if you haven't heard of the Real Network, that's actually the same channel that hosts Gareth Cliff's podcast, for those who may be familiar. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Sure. So when Helen Zille and the DA made the announcement that she will be she's in the running to become mayor of Johannesburg, there were a lot of people whose frustrations were allowed an exit. Yeah. And they started to talk a lot. Yeah, sure. But then I said to my mate, I said, Dan, that what's actually happened in Johannesburg is that at the same time, Herman Mashaba has said, I'm up.
I'm back.
Put me in. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. And I said, there is a higher likelihood of Herman Mashaba becoming the mayor of Johannesburg again. This is important. Again, with a proven track record. Yeah. You can go and say, I didn't like the stuff that Herman did. I didn't like what he did here, but I like this and I like that. There's a growing trend and frustration from people that they want to see things fixed. And a lot of the things that they want to see fixed are the things that, and I dare say, are starting to be fixed in Tshwane. Yeah. And that's Herman's show, right?
Okay, I already have to disagree with this guy. He's talking about how Herman has the track record, yet let's be very clear here. Helen Zille was literally voted the best mayor in the world in 2008. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. I don't know what more she needs to prove in order for people to understand that she's got the competence for this job. But as for Herman Mashaba, there were certain things that I can credit him with improving. I know he did quite a lot of roadworks, but the reality is that he had a very mixed track record, which Mustafa did point out. But yeah, I just think that this is already a bit of a silly take. And I've taken the liberty of finding a fact sheet explaining what Herman's track record was, but I'll show you guys that at the end of the video because I don't want to disrupt the flow of this podcast too much.
Right.
Action SA and the people that are there are Herman's show. Sure. So he's closer to the action. But if you said to yourself, do I want to have Helen Zille be mayor of Johannesburg based off her track record in Cape Town? Then we start versus do I want Herman back in? Sure. Do I want Herman back in based off the infrastructures and the things that they've set up in Tshwane and the fact that he was the mayor?
Yeah, but he didn't do a great job as mayor. He was okay.
So that's the conversation that people are now not having. And that's the one that I want to have. To say, there's also Herman. Well, maybe because Herman and his machinery doesn't have the pleasure of being highly connected to mainstream media and Stratcom. Sure. I can say that.
So his PR run is not going to be as fantastic.
Exactly.
He's not going to have a screaming match with Anele.
100%.
Whether you liked it or not, to be fair, that was mad mileage. I commented on it and I said, wow, I don't agree with the content, but fucking brilliant. Yeah. Because it's for everyone. Okay. It was brilliant remember, in my opinion, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Yeah. Yes, there is, but these people, the people that were in that interview are never going to cross the line into MacG territory. Yeah. So when that execution of that moment happened, it's like one of those viral moments that was brilliant. Anele was super witty. The comeback was super witty. Sure. Another comeback was super witty. Sure, you understand? Sure.
I've just got to chime in there. I don't think Anele was particularly witty. I think she was actually very rude. But I do get what Warris is saying. And just regarding the election machinery, right? I don't think it's really such a mystery as to why Helen would have a bigger campaign than Herman if that does happen, because we know that the DA is a much bigger political party. They've got the funding. So, that's just something you can't help. It's kind of like how the ANC always has the biggest election machinery because they've got the most funding.
Remember, it was that whole thing of
nice tennis match,
right? It made me want to go and see what else did they talk about. Is my point. So I think that moment was brilliant. Yeah. But the Stratcom point you're raising, you're not checking Uncle Herm on all of these platforms. He's just on his Twitter.
You also have to understand that Helen is marketing herself to the black middle class. I want people to understand that she's not marketing herself to like Amangamla, to white people. She's not doing that. She's marketing exactly. She does not need to. She needs the people that stay in the north, the people that stay in the good part of the south, in the east and in the west. She needs those black people to back her. Because remember,
she needs Midrand.
Yes, and I don't know if Amaxhosa are going to back her.
So what Mustafa is saying here is actually a pretty interesting election strategy, whereby what certain people will do, I know they do this quite a lot in the US, is they'll say, all right, we're already pretty strong in a certain area, but what can we do to maximize our vote there? So an example in South Africa would be Helen Zille going to, let's say, Midrand, like they said. And if, for example, the DA is already strong in Midrand, let's pretend they've got 60% of the vote. So, all right, let's see what we can do to push it up to 80% or 90%, because we already have that infrastructure over there. And so it would be a little bit easier than, let's say, going to a place where they've got no presence at all and starting from scratch. So I think that's probably the point that he's making.
The closer people, I don't think they'll back her. I don't know. Because immediately in the four is a matter. Remember, it's like the Eastern Cape. Yeah. No, but it's true.
As the Eastern Cape.
It's just honestly, it's he headquarters the Eastern Cape.
Can you win with waterfall only?
No. You need the waterfall, bro. You need the guys without furniture. You need those. They're gonna drive the fancy cars to the voting booth.
I think her timing is also clever. No. At the moment, the city is a fuck show.
It's a mess.
It's such a mess, right? That anybody coming in.
Before you go in, sorry, Warwick, I actually wanted to wait for you to finish. But what's interesting about what we've currently spoken about? And then there's, I guess it's not an elephant in the room, but the conversation that's not being had is where's ANC in all of this, right? of which,
Dada is there, boss.
That's actually a good point, because if we're being totally honest, these guys keep talking about Action SA and Herman Mashaba, but the reality is that the ANC is way bigger than them, DA is bigger than them, MK, EFF. Action SA is way low. So I'm going to say this right up. The only way that I see Action SA getting the mayorship of Joburg is if they maybe partner with the ANC, and then much like they did in Tshwane, they may reach an agreement where they'll get the role of mayor. And that's the only way I really see it happening. We've also seen the ANC do that in Joburg, where there've been two Al Jamar mayors, which is a party with less than 1% of the vote. So, yeah.
No, come on.
Honestly.
It goes to show that those guys, and even if you were to look in now, they don't have a credible next person.
Bro.
Right?
Yeah. They don't have a credible current or last or.
So for me,
bro, like
how do you feel? How many mayors? I think it's like 8. But you can fact check us. But
like
I think
8 or 9 mayors
in like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah,
bad.
Look, one of them died and stuff.
It then goes to the race will be between Herman and Helen.
Yes.
Yeah. The race will be between Helen.
No, incorrect. If we look at what's actually going on with Action SA on the ground, and you can actually tune into my previous video on that, the link's in the top right corner of the screen, Action SA are not growing. There seems to be this weird fictionalized narrative that Action SA are somehow reviving themselves after the 2024 disaster. But the reality is that they're just not. The by-election where they did well is a place where they already had votes, not even just from 2024, but back when they first ran in the 2021 municipal election. So yeah, these guys really, I'm sorry, but these guys obviously don't understand the data and what's actually going on the ground.
Herman and Helen, the smartest thing that ANC could do is back Herman.
Yeah. and they have backed Herman. They've shown that they can work with Herman.
All right. So PH kind of corrected himself there. That's kind of what I was alluding to earlier.
And here's the interesting bit about all of this in terms of like from a strategy perspective. The Democratic Alliance doesn't like people doing stuff before they do them or stuff that they think should be done. Like working with the DA works with the ANC at national government, but they will vilify a party like Action SA for working with the ANC to run Tshwane.
100%.
So that's what you that's the friction that exists. So that's why Helen exists.
Okay, but those are two completely different examples, and I'll explain why. So in the run up to the 2024 election, there was the multi-party charter where DA, Action SA, and a whole bunch of other parties got together saying they'll form a coalition if they get 50+1% of the vote collectively. Now, when that failed, the DA had a decision to make. Do they partner with the ANC and others to make the GNU, or do they leave the ANC alone to be a minority government, or do they take that risk where they say, well, sit out, but then MK or EFF could join with the ANC to make a government? And so what they did is they took the least worst option. Action SA, however, did the complete opposite. You see, in Tshwane, there was already a multi-party charter government because the government was DA with Mayor Cilliers-Brink, Action SA, Freedom Front Plus, IFP, and ACDP. So in reality, they already had that multi-party charter government. And what Action SA did was they just destroyed the whole thing, chucked Brink out, and brought in the ANC and the EFF, which of course is going to leave a bad taste in the mouths of many Tshwane residents. Let's be absolutely honest here. So no, I have to say that the DA's decision to work with the ANC was really the best case scenario. Action SA's decision was about a selfish quest for power whereby they tore down a functioning, stable government.
It's weird, like orb and sphere, where she will go and say things that she knows might not be fact-checked in the greater scheme of what the DA says across its strata, its national, provincial, and regional.
Oh, really? And what about Herman Mashaba? Anybody that's seen his X account lately knows that it's just full of nonsense. He's always attacking the DA. His stuff certainly isn't fact-checked. He always has this like weird racial spin on everything. I remember there was one tweet that he had with Gareth Cliff where he told Gareth to apologize for 1948. And then Gareth responded, he's like, I wasn't even born then. I mean, I'm sorry. I understand that Helen Zille can be very outspoken, but she at least is a little bit more calculated. Herman's just a loose cannon.
Structures. Right. But they will still call out other people as if they're not doing the same things. And that hypocrisy is what makes this thing so weird. Like, you don't have to wonder about whether or not somebody like a Gayton and a Kenny at PA, how they're going to act. Those also are just like, hey, we want to do these things, we want to be aggressive about it. They don't posture, whether they're at this point or that point or that point. Action SA have made a play to say, everybody wants national. We want to start from the bottom at regional as Action SA and go up through the structure. So after
by proving we can manage
100%. And that is a better long-term strategy than a lot of the other guys. And I think that the guys from Mzansi, Rise Mzansi, the guys from Bosa,
I do kind of agree with that. That it makes sense to build on the local level, but they've done it the wrong way. I actually think that Action SA is a complete shambles, sorry to say, because ultimately what would have been the more intelligent thing is that they saw in 2021 that they resonate well in Gauteng and specifically Joberg and Tshwane, but in eThekwini, they did terribly. So I think the smarter thing would have been if they went into the 2024 general election as a regional Gauteng-based party. And that is where they performed best in that election. But again, historically speaking, any new party that has had a fall like they have has never survived in the long term. Look at COPE, UDM, Patricia de Lille's ID, Patricia de Lille's Good Party. You even look at the EFF and how they're crumbling. Nobody seems to recover once they've already fallen. And so I think, historically speaking, unless Action SA does a really big campaigning efforts in Gauteng and only focuses on running there, I think that party's done for. But even then, they're not going to outpace the DA or the ANC. Those are still going to be the big players next year.
Even the good and other parties, they will side with an Action SA. In fact, I believe that the biggest reason why the Democratic Alliance is going so heavily into Action SA is because Action SA has proven that even with the ANC, they can work with them, because there's a lot of numbers that are showing us that the ANC might not take majority in a lot of things, but they'll be the biggest majority party, even though they'll be a minority in terms of the majority-minority dynamics. So what this says is that if Herman now has an access to go speak to the ANC for different various metros, where they'll say, let us be the mayors of all of these places, and you can still take CFO, you can still take certain positions and whatnot, so that you still are important to us because you're a big partner, but you can't form government alone. And the other thing that I was thinking about was that I have not heard the ANC cry a lot about how Herman is doing things in Tshwane. Which means that the Action SA...
Yeah, because they're able to just run things as usual and continue plundering and looting and all that stuff. Let's not go and make as if they're not complaining because they think that they're doing such a great job. I mean, come now. The ANC, anybody that's lived under an ANC government or the ANC municipality knows that efficiency is not their game, that service delivery is not their game. If the ANC is not complaining, that is a bad sign.
They has found a way to work with the biggest majority party, which can't form a government without Herman. And Herman said, let's form a gov. Let's form a mayoral committee that can run the city. And the DA doesn't like that, because that starts to permeate. Don't think about it now. Think about it in 3 election cycles. What an Action SA looks like when it has maybe taken 3, 4, 5 metros, because
okay, let me tell you what it's going to look like. It's going to look like the Good Party. It's going to look like Bossa, Rise Mzansi, less than 1% of the vote. That's what it's going to look like, because these typical ANC slanted entrepreneurial parties always end up that way. History shows it. That's not my opinion. That's just historical data.
The Action SA can easily be like, okay, Trollop can try there in Gqeberha, Nelson Mandela municipality. Let's put somebody in here. Then let's get someone to try and go for or become deputy in eThekwini. Now suddenly you're going, we're in...
Actually, another interesting point, he brought up Athol Trollop. So Athol Trollop was already the mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay under the DA. And one of the other important notes is that Herman Mashaba, when he was mayor of Joberg, was under the DA. Now, think about this very carefully. The DA is a much larger party with much bigger structures than Action SA. They were almost 22 times as big as them in the 2024 election. So in which party do you think you're going to get more of the resources and support you need to run a city? This isn't biased. This isn't my opinion. It's just fact. Who's going to have the bigger resources? Is it going to be the DA or is it going to be the tiny Action SA? Same with the ANC. Who's going to have the bigger resources to run Tshwane? The ANC or Action SA? It's going to be the ANC. Yeah, these guys really, I don't know what's in his mind. I don't know what he thinks is going to somehow happen or why he thinks that Action SA is just going to be this amazing party, but, beats me.
4 solid metros. Can we now go with the PA and other smaller parties to try and take Cape Town?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Which is there.
Action SA failed dismally in Cape Town in 2024. Are you joking? Cape Town is still like 55% DA. And beyond that, nobody can guarantee that the PA will work with Action SA. I know that the PA obviously has had their tension with the DA, but they have shown a willingness to work with them on occasion. And there are still parties like the Freedom Front Plus and ACDP that the DA have a track record of working with. So I assume that if the DA was to go under 50%, and even then it's a pretty low likelihood, they're going to partner with the likes of a Freedom Front Plus or an ACDP in order to get back over the 50% mark. Yeah, Cape Town, I don't know why they think Action SA will ever get into Cape Town or the ANC. But yeah, these guys clearly don't look at political data very closely.
So immediately you start to understand, everybody knows to save Johannesburg, you have to take back the CBD.
You have to take back
You have
the
to.
CBD.
And on that basis, to take that back means one thing: reappropriate the buildings that are there, so that the black middle class South Africans who are legally here can move into that, and you can start saying rents in the CBD will start at $4,000 for a single.
Sure, what a change.
And that will completely change. Then what happens?
No.
If people move there?
I have to stop him there. Sure, as the mayor, you can order certain raids to happen. You do have certain directive over that. We've seen Dr. Nasipi Moya in Tshwane getting those raids done, where they've managed to go through certain illegal foreigners' shops and stuff like that, and confiscated certain goods on sale. But what's really important to understand is that even though there are certain limited powers, SAPS and the way that the police is run is a national directive. There is no way that Herman Mashaba is going to increase the effectiveness of the police and how they go in and conduct raids. So it's very important for us to know that, because, hey, maybe the police will do a great job, but that's not going to be because of Herman. That's going to be because of the way that the police is run. And the second thing we need to understand is that this idea of you're going to raise rent, it's not going to kick anybody out. Okay. I'm somebody that's spent my time in Joberg CBD. I've been to places such as Hillbrow and Yeovil on the edge of the CBD. And what we need to understand is this: people there live in dire circumstances. I mean, I've seen certain piles of garbage coming all the way up to my head, and I'm almost 6 foot tall. And those piles of garbage were literally almost up to my head. Okay. And we need to understand that there's also a lot of illegal foreigners living there, as Mustafa has kind of alluded to. But we also need to understand that these are people who are used to living in squalor. They're used to living in very difficult circumstances. And there are certain places over there where you have, buildings that are taken over by gangs, prostitution rings, things like that. And you have situations where you'll have like 8 people living in a 2-room apartment. And so I think if they're going to raise prices, that's not going to drive these people out. All it's going to do is it's going to encourage them to just have more and more roommates and split the rent. So yeah, I don't see that working economically in their favor.
100%.
That's why that Anile
that
interview was, I don't think she came off well in that interview. And there's even other interviews, right, where she was asked ideologically about the Palestine issue, the Gaza issue.
We've got a video, the newsroom I think it's a newsroom interview. Yeah.
What does that have anything to do with running as the Joberg mayor? Okay, this has actually been annoying me nonstop. Honestly, they keep asking her these ridiculous national level questions, foreign policy questions. I don't care. Okay, most voters do not care, and you can see it in YouTube comments and X comments. People just want to fix Joburg. Fill the potholes. Make sure the traffic lights are working. Make sure that garbage is being picked up. Some places haven't had water for ages. I mean, they're in Bedfordview and Ekurhuleni, they didn't have water for 3 weeks. And here you're busy asking about foreign policy. Absolute nonsense. I mean, these guys are just so disconnected.
Yo, do we have that, no? Please run it. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you believe a genocide is taking place in Gaza?
Well, genocide is a very big word. I haven't been to Gaza and I don't know. But I certainly do know that Hamas has spent all its energy trying to obliterate the state of Israel.
Well, ain't that the truth? Yes, Hamas has been trying to obliterate the state of Israel. As she said, she doesn't live in Gaza. Good point. How's she supposed to know what's going on the ground there? I mean, honestly, just such a ridiculous line of questioning.
And the most critical point is that they must both recognize that each has the right to have a state and to live in peace side by side. And once that happens, we can solve this problem. And nothing.
Okay, wonderful. You're going to solve the Middle East problem. And will that fix Joburg?
We say or do, and no posturing at all, is going to change anything in the Middle East?
Well, you're essentially a government in waiting, so it's important to ask this question and to know exactly what the Democratic Alliance's stance on it is. Because after May 29, if the Democratic Alliance, for instance, does become the
this is from the 2024
or even
election.
through a coalition,
Don't know why they're showing this.
we would want to know what happens to the ICJ case, for instance. Would the South Africa, under the leadership of the Democratic Alliance, say, no, let's pull out of that? Would the stance, the international relations stance of South Africa's change and shift from what it is currently?
Well, I'm not going to go into hypothetical questions. Let's get into government and then we'll discuss it.
Well, I'm going to ask you questions about what happens when you come into government on education, for instance.
Good,
and I'm sure you're going to have an answer for that. But what's the answer in relation to Israel in terms of your international relations approach once the Democratic Alliance is the government of the day, or if?
I've just told you what our answer is. Our answer is a two-state solution and anything that promotes a two-state solution. And
would the Democratic Alliance say pull out of the ICJ case?
I'm not in a position to answer that question. We haven't discussed this. I'm not the person sitting here alone taking a decision on behalf of the Democratic Alliance.
I'll ask you this question again, but differently this time. This week,
Oh, good.
a UN Commission of Inquiry has found that indeed a genocide has been committed in Gaza. So I ask you again.
It's funny how the UN had to make an inquiry when in actual fact the ICJ, which is technically the UN's court, has not ruled yet. Isn't that kind of funny? Doesn't that kind of show a hidden agenda? Especially the fact that between 2015 and 2025, the UN has issued more condemnations of Israel than it has of any other country. And that includes the huge human rights violators, including Iran, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Cuba, Russia, China. There's a bit of an agenda there.
Like, genuinely speaking, right? That's where. So the interesting shift here is that ideologically, does she match with the people that she is trying to bring onto her side, which is the black middle and the middle upper class? Does she?
Okay, so is this guy now the official spokesman of all black people? Because I know a heck of a lot of black Christians that support Israel. Just saying.
Does she match on that issue?
That is someone who doesn't care about the issues in Alex. That is someone who doesn't care about the issues in you can name all the hoods in thingy.
What? Let me break it down this way. If you don't care about what's going on in Ukraine, how can you become the New York mayor? If you don't care about what's going on with the digital IDs, how can you plan my cousin's wedding? I mean, do you hear how irrelated those statements are? It's the same as what this guy is saying. I'm sorry, but now this podcast or whatever, it's just devolving into absolute drivel, absolute nonsense. Really. What does the Middle East have to do with running Joberg? I don't care what your opinion is. Taking my own opinion on the situation out of it, I literally could not give a damn what a mayoral candidate thinks about Israel and Gaza. I really couldn't. All I care about is fix my potholes, fix the traffic lights so that we don't have to have outsurance come out every 2 days to direct traffic or homeless people directing traffic. Pick up the garbage once in a while. Make sure that the water is actually flowing. Come on. I don't care about that. South Africa's got no influence on that. What are these guys even going on about? I don't understand the obsession with it. My God.
Any lower, what's considered lower class. She doesn't give a fuck about that.
No, it's true because
and also if you go look at where she's currently running,
that's the other thing, bro. Like,
firstly, she isn't currently running anywhere. She hasn't been the mayor for many years. She's the head of the Federal Council of the DA. Secondly, what is this guy actually talking about? Do you actually think, again, I can't believe I have to make this point again, but do you think that the role of a mayor is to put everybody in mansions with, I don't know, taxpayer money or something? Do you think that the mayor is going to somehow increase everybody's salaries by 50%? That's not what a mayor does. That's not what the municipality does. The municipality, and the reason we're voting, is service delivery. It's the same stuff that we see when we get in our cars or in a taxi and drive off in the morning. Are the roads in good shape? Are the robots in good shape? Water, utilities, lights. Are the streetlights working at night? Come on, that's the stuff that matters. I just can't believe how people seem to not be able to understand what a municipal election is about. It's actually unbelievable.
Like, I must say that where the rubber meets the road is what we can definitively work off is the track record of Cape Town.
Sure.
And has Cape Town gotten better during her tenure and subsequently after her tenure? Really, like all of Cape Town, has it gotten better, or a section of Cape Town?
You mean her tenure or the DA's tenure?
Hers and
hers. I think she's running.
Yeah.
She's running under the banner of the DA, but
which has been running Cape Town
for years.
Since. So I'm saying, when you were mayor of Cape Town, right?
Sure.
Were things definitively better?
Gosh, I'm fine.
So and we can't answer that because I wasn't living in Cape Town during that thing. I can't. So that's literally what I have on Helen Zille. And I think because we are having an opinion-based thing with some factual inferences, people can feel free to just jump in the comments and tell us, Zimasa, you're talking nonsense.
Yeah, Helen,
and then we can have it out there. And I'll be in the comments as well for this video, and we can have it.
Sure.
And the bots.
Well, let's see.
I'll talk to the bots as well.
After what you've said now, I'm also hoping for Herman Mashaba.
Yeah.
I think I did say it in my tweets. I said, look,
that's probably, oh my God, Warris, they've got you too. Oh my God. Okay, let's just compare the two. Helen Zille voted best mayor in the world. Okay. Out of every country, out of every city. And Herman Mashaba, who had an okay-ish stint as Joberg mayor and didn't even finish his full term.
Be quite honest, Helen Zille would be better than Dada Morero.
Oh,
and I said, but she won't be as good as Herman Mashaba. And it's because of what you said, is that his CBD plan, unfortunately, because he doesn't own Stratcom and the like, as soon as he started implementing his plans, he was attacked. He was xenophobic.
We don't like him.
But the fact of the matter is, even Panyaza Lesufi recently spoke about the fact that
there's
all
a
of
problem.
the informal settlements,
there's a problem.
These people are taking advantage of our respect for human rights.
Who's this?
Illegal foreigners that come in and set up
structures,
like squatter camps and stuff.
Inside buildings.
Yes, informal structures. And I work in the CBD. Our office is in the CBD. The CBD is fucked. And it's fucked because of that seeding of what we had as an asset over the years, is why the Franklin is now no longer the Franklin that it was, and why your Hillbrows and your Marshallstowns, these are places that can sit without water for 9 days.
We need to be assholes.
No one thinks it's alarming. It's like, what the fuck?
Speaking of water, bro, I mean, we also have this crazy water crisis.
Bro, like our office is now...
Okay, finally they're talking about the proper issue that matters. Thank God.
In Parkhurst, 2 weeks back, we only fully getting back into the office this week. The water pressure still hasn't come back in the Parkhurst area. And this is like, it's ridiculous. And all of this has to do with the dams, the Hurst Hill and Iconhof dams.
So the reservoirs.
How have they still not been fixed? It's ridiculous to me. Because even if you go back 2 years, I think 2023 is when this thing was also really up. Then they said, we're going to fix them. If you're going to put people through pain by saying, a reservoir, we're going to do maintenance, literally tell us it's going to be 3 months of hell. This is how we're going to fix it, but it will never come back again because this is what we're doing. We're putting in new piping. We're putting new things. We're putting 5 or 50 new pumps. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're actually building an extra reservoir that when this one is full, it can also do a thing. We're going to put on this hill. We've now taken. That's what we're not doing, and that's why the ESCOM conversation has changed, because ESCOM realized that they need to fix fundamental things and not patch things up, because a patch is always going to break. If you don't fundamentally fix things, they were like, that particular power station doesn't work, so we've got to bring it back online fully. So take off Joberg for 6 months if you have to, and then after that it will never go offline again.
Yes, then move to Tutuga, then move to Kusile.
This thing of patch work on the water crisis, on the water situation in Joburg, is why people say Dada must leave.
Yeah, but Dada also just doesn't have the answers. And I think like what PH was saying about who does the ANC have, like in terms of what does the reserve bench look like? If Dada is the best foot that they could put forward, I think it speaks volumes of zero depth. Because the other thing is, when he comes in front, I don't blame him because it's such a fuck show. What can he say?
Yeah.
Well, he did say that don't expect anything from me for 3 years.
What can he say?
I mean, bro.
Yeah.
What's wild?
Like, I don't
I remember
expect
that.
Do not expect any fireworks from me for 3 years.
And I think just lastly on this topic, that's why there is a quiet semigration of young professionals who can afford to do so and work remotely to coastal areas. That's why. Black and
Oh, and which coastal area might that be? It's not East London. It's not Port Elizabeth. It's the Western Cape.
white, colored, Indian, everybody's starting to go, Josie, like we still can't deny the economic prowess of this place, the connections, the fact that deals get done faster than anywhere in the country, all of these things, they make sense. But suddenly you look at quality of life. I know of an official right now, who works at a state company, and she was like, broski, like, I just flew in from Durban. It was a Monday morning. She's like, I flew in from Durban. I'm here for 3 days. We get to work 2 days off the thing. By Wednesday night, I'm gone. I'm back to Durban.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop it right there just because it seems like they're going off topic and it has been quite a long podcast. But I'll say this, to these guys' credit, you know, they seem like intelligent guys. They seem like well-spoken, but they just do not understand politics and they do not understand political data, you know. Firstly, their expectation of Action SA to become some massive player, it's just not happening. There's no data to suggest that it will happen. And even if Herman does strike a deal with the ANC, he will be the ANC's puppet. He's not going to be running the show. Before we head off, I would like to actually give you guys that fact sheet that I promised to share with you of Herman Mashaba's track record in Joburg. All right, so this sheet is courtesy of Municipal IQ. It was released in October 2019, which is obviously quite old, but it was just after Herman Mashaba stepped down as mayor, so it was obviously up to date for the purposes of this discussion. So, okay, he's got a patchy scorecard, it explains. Let's just scroll down to some of the more concrete materials here. Okay, so there were elements of Mashaba's strategic focus that supported the DA agenda, drawing in inner city investment, using expropriation to revitalize the inner city. All right, financially, Mashaba promised to turn the city around, but struggled with ongoing, if lessened, billing issues and a recessionary climate that saw ratings agency GCR place Johannesburg on a negative outlook earlier this year, which was in 2019. Mashaba will be remembered for a mixed tenure at the helm of South Africa's economic hub. Yes, so after looking at this, there really are two options. You could vote for Action SA, as these guys seem to be planning to do, in which case you will get a mediocre mayor who had a pretty mixed term under the DA and will now be looking to run the city with an even smaller party and fewer resources. Or you could vote for Helen Zille, who was literally voted the best mayor in the world. The choice is yours. But either way, thanks so much for tuning into the video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more content and give us a thumbs up. And hey, drop your response in the comments. Do you agree with my analysis, or do you agree a little bit more with the podcasters? Curious to hear your thoughts. Until next time, I'm Matthew Cohen, and this is the Power Pod.